Hey everyone, it's James.
And Stephanie, and we're finally selling Lance.
Oh man, that hurts. So yeah, we're finally selling Lance.
Yeah, it's taken me months to get him to warm up to making this video, but we're finally here, ready to sell Lance. So we're gonna give you a tour of Lance, but you all know Lance already. Lance is probably the most famous Winnebago Travato out there. He's been on TV, in magazines, and...
If it were possible for him to be on radio, he would have done that too. He's been in hundreds of videos on the Fit RV. So you all, and plus, if we were to give a tour of everything about Lance and all the mods, it would take like 2 hours.
Well, yeah, you've done so much to Lance. So we're just going to highlight in this video about 8 areas that we think are really important that set Lance apart from other Travatos.
Besides the bright yellow color. He's the only one that Winnebago ever made.
But you know, yeah, that's true. The only yellow one that came right from Ram, which is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. And he's pioneered a lot of things that like current Travato owners would take for granted, like all the water lines being inside.
The window in the galley in the G floor plan wasn't there before Lance. Lance had that first.
A bunch of stuff like that, and we better get started or we're going to be here all day and I'm going to start crying. So, all
right, on with the tour.
Okay, so number 1 on our list of 8 are going to be customizations that Winnebago did to Lance before we even got a hold of him.
Yeah, and this is one of the most unique things about Lance is Winnebago never customizes any of their RVs, and they did with Lance. They took the entire G bedroom, we call it the penthouse area. They raised the bed for us so we can sleep with our bikes in, and they completely redid the cabinetry back there, totally different than a normal Travato.
The bed in Lance is 40 inches up off the floor, so you can fit bikes in there easily and sleep with them while everybody is inside. They also did some other stuff, like they put a window in the galley area.
Right, and that was before windows were in the galley area, so Lance kind of pioneered the window in the galley area.
Yeah, in fact, ours is bigger than the ones that they're putting in now.
Yeah.
They put all the water lines inside. Lance was the first one they did that for, and now it's kind of standard across a lot of Winnebago models is to have the water lines inside.
Something unique is our composting toilet. Winnebago put that in for us. So we actually have 2 gray tanks and no black tank, which has been awesome.
And as far as I know, that's the only composting toilet Winnebago has ever installed as far as I know.
Yeah.
We also have a small dual pane acrylic window in the penthouse area.
Yep, and that was the first acrylic window that found its way into a Travato as well.
And those windows are now optional on a lot of rigs and standard on some in Winnebago as well. And number 2 on the list is all-season camping capability.
Yeah, we have been camping in the winter down to 13 below Fahrenheit. No problem with running water still, and that's because of all the mods you've done to make Lance winter capable.
Yeah, so it takes a lot to get to that, and part of it was Winnebago brought all the water lines inside, but even more than that, some of those lines are against the skin of the van, so I've added heat tape along those lines to keep those from freezing up. I've also added venting in some of the cabinets to keep things warmer inside the cabinets than they would otherwise be.
The van-made shades.
Van-made shades
We've
are another good
those.
one.
We love those. There's thermal shades that go over all of the windows in Lance, and those things are beasts. Nothing gets through those.
Yeah, and insulation galore. Anytime I have done a project or a mod in Lance, I've taken that opportunity to beef up the insulation. So there's insulation in the doors. There's insulation. I insulated the forehead, the pizza oven area.
Yeah, above the cab. Yeah.
There's also heated tanks and heated drainage pipes going from the tanks, and you know, we mentioned it already, but the composting toilet is an important part of winter camping, right? Because it takes no water to properly operate the composting toilet.
Yeah, so if you're a skier, Lance would be a good RV for you.
Or a fat tire winter bike rider. Number 3 on the list is the ride.
Ooh, well, we probably should start with the new engine then, because at 60,000 miles, Lance got a new engine. Only has about 71,000 miles now, so technically it's a low mileage vehicle, kinda.
I guess, kinda, yeah. So brand new engine at 60,000 miles. You'll be getting two sets of wheels and tires. We've got the regular wheels, and then we've got what we've got on now are the snow tires on these Real rims.
Yeah, we like those a lot.
Yeah, and we keep the snow snow tires on until about March-ish, something.
You built that wind fairing on the top, and
True.
that's to help the ride to be a little quieter.
True, it is very quiet driving in Lance. And then probably the biggest thing for the ride is the VB air suspension. This is like one of those life-changing kind of ads. If you were to go buy it and add, it's like a $9,000 addition.
It makes Lance's ride along like butter. It's such a smooth, wonderful ride. We've driven other Travatos, and Lance drives so much
We've
better.
driven way a lot of Travatos, and none of them even comes close to how Lance drives. So the way that does it is there's some airbags in the back with an onboard compressor, and there's coil springs up front that we've replaced, and it's fully automatic. It'll just air up. Like if we both walk to the back end of the van, you hear
It airs up, yeah.
Because it really wants to keep you level. It's kind of cool that way.
It is.
And I know a lot of people put Sumo springs on their ProMasters, and those are good. We've driven with those. In fact, we had them before we got the air suspension.
They were fine.
So if you give Sumo springs like a 10 for ride quality, the VB gets like a 73. It's
70. I thought you were going to say like 9,000 because that's the cost. Okay, 73.
73 on a scale of 1 to 10. So the ride is awesome, and when you test drive it, you'll know. Trust me. Okay, number 4, I like to call on the level.
And this is where James's OCD passion for being level is going to work in your favor. So go ahead, tell him what you've done.
So we installed E&P auto leveling jacks on Lance, and these things are just stone cold awesome.
Yeah, $9,000 awesome.
They are $9,000. So they're telescoping jacks on 4 corners, and telescoping, that means they compress down pretty short. Like when they're retracted, they're only about like that tall, so they don't take away a lot of your ground clearance, but they'll raise up high enough to pick an axle up off the ground. You can get your tires up in the air with these leveling jacks. The bigger deal than that, though, is besides getting you level, there's a remote control and a computer program that'll get you level. But the stabilization is something that I think is often missed when talking about leveling, because we can walk front to back or side to side.
We could do jumping jacks in there, and that van is not moving.
It doesn't move at all. And then, because I don't even know if I trust that, I installed a LevelMate Pro, which is another gizmo, and I calibrated it to like just dead nuts level, that will broadcast how many inches down each tire of the rig is, front to back, side to side, to your smartphone. So you can, I don't think I've ever not manually fiddled with the level once we've got a level. So anyway, you will, if you want to, be able to get level in Lance. Okay, and number 5 is going to be Lance's electrical system. And Lance has an advanced energy system, and at the heart of that system, this is not the Volta system that you can get in Travatos today. It's different. It's got a lithionics battery at the heart of that system. It's a 7,000 watt-hour lithionics battery. It's about 525 amp hours in old money. And that battery lives right behind me here inside the coach, not outside in a box. And you turn it on and off with this button right here. So now to keep that battery charged, we have a second alternator. Under the hood we have a Nations alternator, second alternator, and it can, depending on how fast you're going, you can kick out maybe like 230-ish amps or so, which is pretty darn good. But between that alternator and the battery, there's a Balmar charge controller. Now that regulates the charge so the voltages are always appropriate, and the battery can even tell it, hey, I'm full, stop, and then you won't be overcharging the battery. Super cool. So that part is handled. Now, we also have this switch here. This is unique, and it's kind of something that I've just added myself. So this is a switch that connects the house and the chassis electrical systems to make use of spare capacity in your vehicle's alternator for charging the battery. What do I mean by that? Well, your vehicle has its own alternator, which runs the electrical in the vehicle, but it produces more power than your vehicle needs. When you flip the switch on, those systems are now connected. And so in addition to whatever, I call it stacking, in addition to whatever amperage you're getting from the Nations alternator, you're getting any extra amperage from the vehicle's alternator. So depending on conditions, that can be anywhere from like 10 to 60 amps extra at a time. So pretty cool. Now above here, this is the control panel for the Xantrex Freedom SW. It's a 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter charger. 3,000 watts, it can surge to a lot more than that. Does it have the capability to start the air conditioner? Absolutely. You don't need a soft start. You don't need any kind of adaptation to start that air. It'll kick it right on. In fact, we've had 4 different air conditioners on here, and it started all of them without issue. Let's see, that's EMS, that's standard Travato stuff, but the solar charge controller is different. Yes, Travatos have a solar charge controller, but this one is a dual battery solar charge controller. What does that mean? Well, there's 2 battery banks. There's the big Lithionics battery here. There's also the engine starting battery. And so what this does is there's 300 watts of solar on the roof. This takes that 300 watts and it sends 90%, as I have it programmed now, to the big Lithionics battery, and the other 10% it sends to the engine starting battery. So I never have to worry about a dead engine starting battery. It's always being charged anytime the sun's up. Fantastic. There's a little gauge here for keeping track of the Lithionics battery itself. That'll even give you the internal battery temperature, so you don't have to worry about it getting too cold. And again, you really shouldn't have to because it's inside. Couple more components to the electrical system. There is a Progressive Industries hardwired 30 amp surge suppressor. So that's wired in, and it's on the other side of the smart plug. The cool thing about the smart plug, it's kind of a better connecting shore power plug. But the other cool thing about it is that you don't have to worry because it's a different plug. People aren't going to like steal your cord because it's not going to fit their RV. So that kind of runs through most of Lance's electrical system. It's pretty cool. With it, we're able to run our air conditioner for about 4 hours. That's if it's running just flat out, not taking any breaks. And other than that, we're able to operate most times just like we would if we were in a house. So electrical system, thumbs up.
And number 6 is the Galley.
Yep, this is the Galley, and I guess there's really very little Travato actually left, especially over here.
You've done a ton of mods, so maybe we start with the fridge.
Right, dominating the Galley is this giant Norcold 7.3 cubic foot compressor driven, in fact, 2 compressors.
Yes,
in
the
this fridge.
freezer has its own.
So if you want to run only one or the other, you can. Now this thing is large, sorry, blocked you up there, and it is covered in actual carbon fiber. That's not like a decal. That's
it's going with our biking theme. So.
Actual carbon fiber. So now, but to put that fridge in, I had to redo this entire cabinet area. And so while the microwave is the same, it's been moved up and over, and so that compartment up there up above is quite a bit bigger.
Yeah, and this is huge, this pantry here with these 3 pull-out sliding trays.
And those lock in place so they don't come sliding out while you're driving. There's a mirror on the back side.
I love my acrylic mirror. And then down below that, the battery.
Down below that, there's the battery. So it's inside and it's vented, so you don't have to worry about it freezing. And below that even is what you might just ignore as like a tiny little compartment. But you can actually fit 12, store-bought bottles of water in that cabinet. So a lot going on this side.
And, space is so precious in camper vans, and there is so much extra space here the way you've built it. Even this cabinet up here by the microwave is so big, and I put a lot of tall things up in that cabinet.
We can get like 2 weeks of groceries in here. But there's more that's changed on this side as well. First off, there is a quartz countertop in place of, I don't even remember what was there originally.
I don't either.
It's been so long. We've also replaced the cooktop, the propane, with an induction cooktop, which cooks 50 billion times faster, and you don't have to open up a vent, and you're not going to catch anything on fire with a flame while you're cooking.
There's that netting for our water bottles. We can get 4 water bottles up in the netting.
Yep, that's those cyclist kind of water bottles.
Yeah.
And then there's the large window, which is a Winnebago ad, of course. So, I guess the last thing here in the Galley is this wall?
Oh, yes. How could we forget?
So in a normal Travato, like the wall's up here. And so I cut that down and we had the cushions taken down as well. Yeah. And it really opens up the feel of the space. It's not so much of a wall here.
Yeah, I feel like it makes it so much more spacious in here, and it's just a better feel having that wall a little bit shorter. So yeah, lots of changes in the Galley.
Okay, and for number 7, let's just call it cab conveniences.
Well, like the leather seats.
Yeah, so Travatos of this vintage didn't come with leather seats. I added them oh, was that difficult. But we got them to match the rest of the upholstery in the Travato, so it turned out really good.
Yeah, they're comfortable and they look good too.
It was tough getting there, though. The next thing to talk about, I guess, is the alarm system.
Ooh, yeah.
So there are two ways to work with the alarm system, through either a two-way key fob or through a mobile phone. You can do all sorts of cool stuff with the alarm.
When we had Lance in California and we were back in Utah, we could even see where Lance was, GPS. We could even start and stop Lance,
or be
turn
notified.
on the engine,
It'd be notified
across the
when
country.
He started and stopped. All sorts of stuff like that. You can locate it on an app. It's great.
Yeah.
Rear view camera. So the ProMaster has a rear view camera, but generally speaking, in this year, it was only set to come on when you were actually in reverse. I figured out a way around that, and there's a little switch in the cab, and you flip the switch, and now you can see the rear view camera.
And you did a video. There's a video of you doing that.
I don't know, is that a video or is that a text? I think it's a text post.
Oh,
anyway,
okay. We do so many videos, I can't remember what's video or what's
So there's tint. So on the side windows in the cab.
Oh, the crystalline, the 3M stuff. Ooh,
yeah,
the good kind.
That helps a lot.
Big time.
With heat while you're driving along in the summer.
Yeah, and we live in southern Utah where it's really hot, and so that was a big deal for us, getting that tint on, just so we're not getting all that heat coming in the cab.
Yep. Now there's also, speaking of heat coming in the cab, there's also a curtain that I made that kind of goes around the back of the seats when they're turned around. It helps a little bit more than the van-made shades, in addition to with heat and whatnot, but it also just makes it feel a little more homey.
Well, yeah, because you can actually magnet it up around the front windows, or it can just hang down straight, so you have the two options.
Yeah, and it's like being in a harem tent.
You did such a great job building that. Good job sewing that.
And the speakers for the stereo. Those are JBL speakers up in the cab.
Yeah, you changed those out too.
Carbon fiber dash kit, a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But number 7, cab conveniences. Okay, and number 8, just because I don't know what else to call it, is a whole bunch of other random cool stuff about
that we could not leave out of this video. And starting with the roll-left screen that you see right here. We used to have the regular sliding screen, and we replaced it with this roll-left screen, and we love it. It's just one of those magnet screens where you can just open and walk through. It's great if you're somewhere buggy, especially. So that's one of the random things.
Sea level tank monitors.
Ooh, yeah.
So instead of the quarter, half, three-quarter guess gauges, we have sea level tank monitors, which will give you an actual number of what your tank level is, with sensors applied on the outside of the tank, no guessing. It even works on the propane. We have 69% propane or whatever. Works great like that.
The faucet is another one in the bathroom. James replaced our faucet with that Duda faucet, which is super cool.
It's thermostatically controlled, so you just pick a temperature. It's great for showering.
Yeah.
You don't have to guess like how hot you want your shower. It keeps it at a constant temperature.
Yeah.
The back wall storage.
Oh yeah, you've done that a couple different times. It's like your third
my third iteration of, and I absolutely maximized the amount of storage you could get. I even contoured it like to match the curve of the doors. There's that much storage back there.
There's the laundry bags that you made. You took sewing classes. You learned how to sew. You made those laundry bags that go under the bed.
And since we have a composting toilet, there's not a tube underneath the toilet going down into the black tank, so we have got a bunch of storage underneath what the toilet would be.
You've replaced the air conditioner like 4 times, 3 times, I don't know.
We're on our 4th air conditioner. Wow. Now we've got a Coleman Mach 10 NDQ. It's the quietest one we've had so far. We're pretty happy with it. Also, there's that aluminum storage box that I've got on the back.
On the back. Yeah, that was custom made in Salt Lake City.
Exterior storage for that.
Yeah. My bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
So James did this really cool thing with the bathroom mirror. He put this lighting behind it, so it's almost like a makeup mirror. It sets a cool ambiance in there, but it's also great for putting on makeup.
It's also great for shaving, which is really why I did it.
Well, we both win.
I wanted to shave. And the cell booster. Lance has a WeBoost drive installed. It has enabled me to work from just about anywhere.
It works so great. We couldn't live without that. We're going to get another one for the Echo too.
Yep. Well, that's the video.
All right, well, there is one more cool thing that I thought of that we didn't say yet. And if you've ever been to the Travato Owners and Wannabes Facebook group, Lance is the Travato that started that Facebook group. So I'm calling him the unofficial mascot of the Travato Owners and Wannabes Facebook
I guess
group.
so, and we'll always have video. Lots and
Yes,
lots.
boy, do we.
So there is one more thing I should say about Lance, and I don't want to offend anybody here, but Lance would not be an ideal rig for a beginner or a first-time RVer. A lot of the mods have been made, and there's not really a manual. You can't ask someone else, how do I winterize Lance or something like that.
Yeah, you can't go to the Travato Owners and Wannabes group and say, how does the black tank work? Or, you know.
Yeah, because, so he's not, if you're, technically inclined and you're willing to learn about it, then maybe it's okay. But I just want to put out that beginner RV caution that I don't think it might be the best RV for beginners.
But if you're interested in more information, click the link in the description and there'll be more details on how to find out about purchasing Lance there.
Yep. And I guess that's going to do it.
All right, onward.
Bye
Thanks,
now.
everyone.